Well, this is your boy Big Business. We're here with one of my good friends I haven't talked to in it seems like such a long time. We have Warren Cole here today. He is an author. He is a lot of stuff I don't even want to tell you about. I want to make you just tune in. I'm gonna say he's an author, but he's a multifaceted, great humanitarian human being who has a heart. And we're just gonna get right on into it. Welcome to the show, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Just in what we've discussed prior to actually going live, it's just a lot of
Mhm.
things. I think I'm gonna actually have to go back a little bit for people to really appreciate where you are right now. So we're
Right.
gonna go back. Um, gonna go all the way back to high school, so you can
No
kind of
doubt.
paint a picture before you were writing books, before you were acting,
Right.
from whence you came. So I want you to kind of let's take it from about when you were in high school. I guess your
Right.
frame of mind and how that kind of shaped you and changed you, and how you kind of were at a crossroads when you were graduating
Yeah.
from high school.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people don't know high school. I was a runaway, had a rough at home environment. And I thank God for Rashard Tyler, you know what I mean? Him and his family really, really helped me a lot during those trying times. And Jamie Phillips, like without them, like I was telling you before, I wouldn't have graduated high school. There's no way possible. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't know that like basketball for me was an outlet, was more of a way of expression than anything else. I really didn't understand like a lot of basketball politics back then. I was just playing
Right.
and having a good time. Like I really didn't understand how assists work and the shot percentage and this and the that. You know what I mean? I was just really playing from a place of pure passion. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for those guys, especially Rashard Todd allowing me to stay at his house and his mom taking me in and all of that good stuff, man, I really wouldn't have made it. And I'm really grateful for them and their family
Right.
and, how they looked out for me during that time period.
Yeah, shout out to Jamie Phillips, because he's still coaching
That's
back
what's up.
home as an assistant coach, and Rashad Tyler's been doing his thing with a lot of different things. So
Right.
I kind of want to dig into, at a certain point, you said you needed to make a change
Mhm.
when it came to going to a different environment. Um, what gave you the strength at that young age to kind of have the mindset of not giving up and
Mhm.
continuing to go forward with what you were passionate about? Because a lot of people, who are high school, they drop out. They're
Right.
disgusted, they're frustrated, and they kind of just run away from high school and just disassociate themselves from society. So, what did you draw upon for strength to kind of say, I'm going to press forward?
Right. I knew the type of person that I wanted to be and not the type of person that, society was molding me into at that time. You know what I mean? I knew who I wanted to be, the type of man I wanted to be. At that time, I didn't know how to get there. You know what I mean? And, graduated from high school was something that was big for me.
Right.
Um, you know what I mean? A lot of people didn't understand why I didn't play basketball, in college because, I did well in high school. And like I was telling you, I really didn't understand a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? I had changed high schools, and the new coach, Coach Jones, was holding back some of my letters, and I didn't know that. I was getting some letters that I was getting, and that whole thing. If you follow that history, a few years after I graduated, he was fired from Lake Region. You know what I mean? A lot of parents and stuff complained about him and things like that. But, like I said, without a lot of guidance, you know what I mean, without, parents who really knew what I was doing and understood that, basketball could have paid for my whole entire college, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was hard to have somebody on top of that saying, hey, you know what I mean, this is wrong or that is wrong, you know what I mean? So I really didn't have that. And then mhm,
Yeah, I wanted to come in because it wasn't a situation where I know, because I played college basketball, and I can kind
right,
of weigh those things out because I had parents who were there.
right,
And you were passionate and talented enough to have something you were able to do and get paid money straight out of high school for. So I wanted you to touch on that, because even though you may not have had everything that you wanted at the time, you mindset that you were going to make a way with what you did have at the time.
Right. So so out of high school, I ended up signing with a record label called New South. I don't know if you remember Bubba Sparks when he was with Timbaland. He had a record label, New South, and I met him through Coleon, who is now Justice League. You know what I mean? So all of even the King of the Underground album, if you look on there, that was done under the New South umbrella. And basically, we just followed the pattern that was set up by the majors. Like Coleon was signed to New South. I was signed to Coley, and then I had Ace Boy Records, and I put, the Triple X's on and that kind of thing, on my joint. You know what I mean? Some of Triple X's first joints came out on my joint on the King of the Underground. You know what I mean? So big shout out to Triple X, Robert Rufus, what up?
Robert. But so, that's honestly, that's, considering where Justice League is, and, that's the umbrella that a lot of the majors follow, with Dre, 50, Eminem. So I mean, having a shot that early, that's you could say basketball, you could say one other thing, but it's one of those things where I think personally it's better to use your brains than your body.
Right. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That brain it makes everything else operate well, and you use your brain. You know what I'm saying? You put something together, and you don't have a lot of aches and pains at this point, do you?
Well, a few years ago, I blew my knee out trying to play basketball with the kids. I'm known for dunking. I was playing with the high school kids at the church, and I tried to dunk on one of the kids, and I blew my knee out. So that's about the only. But I don't have a lot of the sports aches and pains like a lot of my friends have that play D1 ball or play pro ball. You know what I mean? So I mean, we always talk about the Tracy McGrady's, but we got to remember Alvin Jones, played in the NBA, and he's, Theon Smith, from Auburndale played in the NBA too. You know what I'm saying? So we have a lot of our group that played NBA basketball that wasn't super duper stars. Like you can almost name a lot of people that we just played pickup ball when they actually played in the NBA. We was blessed at that time. You know what I mean? Definitely. Then, of course, we have a lot of guys who could have played that didn't play. We got your Art Salaries and your Mike Turners who definitely could have played that didn't play. So
Mike Turner actually had, an opportunity at one point. North Carolina was interested in him. So, and that was right around that time where Vince Carter would have been coming soon after. So there was so much talent back then. I think one thing that might have done a little bit of a disservice was splitting up all those schools, because Bartow, Haines City, Winter, like all those places had one high school, and if you get out of the district, it was like you were almost a shoe-in to go to state. Lake Wales, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We can go on and on about the talent in Lake Wales, absolutely.
Yeah. Roy Lee, all those guys, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Lakeland, Kathleen, Lake Gibson, all of it. Yeah,
of course. But I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm glad you went a different route than basketball, because what it showed people who were from the area is that you can do it without sports.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, like you say, Triple X is still doing music. He's paying bills, being a DJ.
Absolutely.
So providing a template for people, it provides inspiration, because unless you see it close to you, it's difficult to just come up with an idea without anybody around you to contribute. Like you were saying about college basketball. Had you had somebody around you telling you, hey, man, you may have been able to navigate that process of the clearing publishers clearinghouse.
Right.
And when you need to take the SAT to be eligible and all of those different things.
Those are all the things I had no idea about. So when they started hitting me left and right with this stuff, and then you had a check over here, I was like, you know what, man, I'm going with this check.
You're not wrong. I mean, McGrady went straight from high school. I mean, this is the time
Right.
when people were doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and if it's
Yeah.
making money for you, you know,
Yeah.
like I say, I'm glad to see you did that because that was a business move.
Absolutely.
That was a
Absolutely.
business move. And that's what
Right.
we don't do. We don't always take care of our business first.
Right.
Education, it's great, but unless you could take that education and go straight into a job that pays well,
Right.
people go to college to get a good job and get money. If you get money without the college education, you can always go back and get that if you're already making
Yeah.
the money.
Yeah, I agree. And that was one of the things that I said too. Like, you can always go and get the education. You can always go back to school. Like, a lot of people, the thing is, we go to get the education to make the money. But if you can make the money and then get the education, why not do it that way? You know what I mean? So I commend Tracy McGrady for going, you know, straight from high school to the NBA. Why
Yeah,
not go and get that bag? You know what I mean? If nothing else, you know what I mean? If he never would have amounted to the Hall of Fame player that he ended up being, which we all know from the neighborhood, he could have did so much more. You
right,
know what I mean?
right.
You know, even if he didn't do that, you know, he had $30 million off of Adidas and a $2.3 million rookie deal. So if nothing else, you
Yeah,
did that. You know what I mean? Much over. You know, he had like, I think, two $100 million contracts in his career also. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So now, if he want to go back and get his degree now, just as a goal to say I did it, like a Kobe, just to say I did it,
Just to say
then
you did it.
yeah, you know what I
That
mean?
option is there. So, like I say,
Right.
getting that money, there's nothing wrong with that. So let's fast forward a little bit to, it's a lot to discuss, man, because you've done a
Yeah,
lot. The
yeah.
acting situation. So
Uh-huh.
I was just going, I'm going through my Facebook friends, just, checking on things. So
Right.
you've done a music video that was picked up by MTV, I believe, was it?
Yeah, so it was some friends of mine, you know, they were blowing up in the music game, and I believed in them. You know, I've been around excellence enough to know when somebody's got that it factor. And
Right.
Public the band, you know, white group, you know, they strictly pop. But what they did that was brilliant. They brought that 60 boy meets girl feel to 2020, and it
Okay.
was hot. Like, for their genre, it is hot. It is hot. I mean, before MTV, before any of that, they could number one, they could go on tour. That's huge in and of itself.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
that's separation right there.
Headline the tour. It don't matter if you're going to small bars. If you go into small bars and you're packing out 3,000-4,000 a night and you're going on tour and you're able to do different cities
Yeah,
across America, that is huge.
man.
You know what I mean? So I saw them doing that. And, you know, they asked me to be a part of the video and everything like that. And I was happy to do it. They gave me a little check to go with it. So, you know, me, if it make money, it makes sense. And I believed in it.
There
You
you
know what I
go.
mean? So I
Hey,
jumped on it. You know, me and them checks, you know what I mean?
right. There ain't nothing wrong with putting it. Hey, and the thing
Right.
is, that's awesome from a standpoint of how did you meet them? Because I think a lot of times it's difficult to meet motivated and successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into work, 9 to 5, how do you
Right.
meet people who are successful when you're so busy working like that?
It's all about your circle and the energy that you put out. You know what I mean? Like, when you want to be successful, I mean, anybody could just say, I want to be successful, right? But my thing is strategic thinking, something that, you know what I mean, I've been practicing my entire life. If I want to be successful, then I have to narrow it down and say, what do I need to be successful at? You know what I mean? How do I implement myself in that circle, in that crowd, in that environment around those people? You know what I mean? Where are they hanging at? What are they doing? You know what I mean? So, you know, if you want to be a successful realtor, you know what I mean, but you're not hanging around other successful realtors so you can learn how to become a successful realtor, then, you know what I mean? Or to me, you're just making noise. That's
Yeah.
why one of my biggest thing is get a mentor and be a mentor. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Have somebody teach you how to do it, and then you teach somebody else how to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be a mentor and get a mentor. You know what I mean? And to me, that is the key to success. You know what I mean? You have to plan it out strategically. You know, if I want to be the best actor, if I want to be the best at my job, then how do I do that? You know what I mean? What are the steps that I need to take to do that? And then I have to be a forward thinker and say, okay, I got to account for the things that I don't even know that are going to come up to derail me from my goal. You know what I mean? Because it's never going to be a straight shot. So now when I map out my goals, I say, this is where I want to be. These are the things that could come up against me. This is how I will handle it if it come up. But then I also make room for the stuff that I don't know about. You know what I mean? The stuff that there's no way, you know, when you get blindsided with that left hook you ain't see coming by life, you know what I mean? At least you got something to set apart for that to help you get like, boy, I didn't know this was coming, but thank God I did X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? That helped me get through that at that time. So I feel like success is an action word. What are you doing to make yourself successful in that time frame? And how do you know that you're being successful? Like, you know what I mean? I get very tedious with my life. You know what I mean? Every quarter, I judge my life. You know what I mean? Like we're coming up on June. I'm about to look at June and say, these are the goals I had January 1st.
Right.
You know what I mean? From January 1st to March, this is what I did. Am I happy with that? From March to June, this is where I am. Now that we're about to be halfway through the year, am I at least halfway to the goal that I set on January the 1st? If you're not doing that, if you're not that tedious about your life, you really don't want to be successful.
Yeah, just a million points that are good. I just want to echo a couple of them. You know, setting a bar for what success looks like for a time period is important, I think, as well, because what success looks like from the first quarter to the second quarter, this is what they do in the stock market. I mean, and that's part of the reason I actually named myself Big Business, because I feel like, you know, 40 years of work, everybody, if you have $40,000, $50,000 a year, everybody has at least $1 million that pass through their hands. You are your own business. It's what you do with those opportunities, those monetary incomes that kind of defines, you know, what you actually amount to in your quality of life. So you have to approach yourself with the same type of mindset that you're saying. I like how you say, you know, the strategic organization. Do you have a vision board too?
No, I never got into the vision boards, to be honest. I never got into. I'm a writer, so I write everything down. Like I got notebooks on notebooks on notebooks. I write everything down. You know, one of the things the Bible says, if I could implement a little biblical concepts, write the vision, make it plain. That also goes with the vision boards. Also, you know what I mean. If you do your vision boards, do your vision boards. As long as you're writing the vision and you can see it. I just never got into it myself. I like writing stuff down. I'm old school, pencil and paper. You know what I mean? So I write it down and say, this is where I'm at. This is what I said. And then also you have to be adaptable, right? I tried this didn't work. This is working great. Let me let go of this. Let me try this. You know what I mean? You have to also be willing to be realistic and be honest with yourself and say, okay, this wasn't working so well the first 3 months. Let me not do so much of this. This is working great. Let me do more of this. Let me try some of this for the next 3 months and see what happens. And then at the end of that 3 months, I'll reevaluate again. You know what I mean? And I think that's how you get to where you want to be. Like everybody's like, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, well, what does that look like to you? How are you going to do it? How do you know you're going in the right direction? You know what I'm saying? Without being able to say, you know, you got to put a time frame on it. Okay, I want to be a millionaire in 10 years. This is where I want to be at the 5-year mark. This is where I want to be at, you know what I mean, after the first year. You know, but it's going to take me to do these things daily, to move forward weekly, to hit my goals quarterly, so I can be where I want to be yearly, you know what I mean, to get to where I want to be overall. You see what I'm saying? So you have to have that strategic mind frame.
Okay, yeah. A lot of jewels in that. I'm going to slow down a little bit because some people might need to play that back and try to apply some things that you're saying. You know, that's just one of the things that chunking is important, because there's so many jewels that you're dropping. For a person who thinks like you, it might be one thing, but you can always get something from someone else just by listening.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's important, very important what you're saying. So I want to move from the music video to the show that's on Amazon Prime, Mafia Ties.
Okay, so Mafia Ties, let me, I don't know if you can see I'm representing the Mafia Ties right now. You know what I mean?
I see it now.
But Mafia Ties, yeah. So what happened with that? They actually took it down off of Amazon Prime. So I guess I don't know all the stories on the back end. Producer John Wilson, what up? I saw films, giving y'all a shout out. What it do? Youngstown, hold it down. You know what I mean? They really, I don't know the back end of the deals and things like that, but he pulled it. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, I don't know if the money went right or whatever, but he did pull it. So right now, it's not up on Amazon Prime at the moment. We do got some new episodes and things coming. It's getting ready to drop soon. But, to be honest, I don't know what goes on in the boardroom.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something that I can tell you from, because, the movie that I did with the documentary 2020 Vision,
Right.
A lot of times what happens is, and you know this from music, if you don't have something pushing monetarily whatever your project is, it sits still, and you still have to pay that subscription monthly, and you say, you know what, I might need to relaunch this with a little bit more power behind it. So for me, I'm looking for a distributor so I can get the right deal. So when I release to the majors, I just been doing like a pay-per-view deal with mine and giving them a code and kind of just getting feedback and building and trying to get the interest of a distributor. So it may be a situation like that. Because content is king, but people don't know there's so many movies and so many projects out there. Somebody has to back you and kind of help push your project forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. With that said, I had a movie that I'm doing. It's actually going to be a major movie. We were supposed to start filming in March, but of course, COVID-19 hit the nation. It's called Mulatto. It's a great movie, great movie. It's about a rise to power, Black women's rise to power in the in that time period, as far as in the land of the mafia and so on and so forth. So it's going to be a good one once we can start filming it and getting good. Like, this was supposed to be my year, man. I was supposed to have a movie out this year. I was supposed to drop the TV show this year. Hey. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was supposed to do a lot, but Corona came through and really sidelined a whole lot of the different projects I had going on.
You know what it gives you an opportunity to do, and I'm on the same type of mentality you are. I mean, you see in the back, I got the 2020 shirt. Like, this was supposed to be a year for real.
Right. Exactly.
But the year's not over.
Not at all. Not at all.
I think that sometimes it gives you an opportunity to address time to reflect and create.
Right.
That's the way I'm trying to approach it, because I was going to start going across the country promoting my film documentary project, and then flights get canceled, can't go nowhere. So I say, okay, I'm gonna use this time to kind of rest, and then this idea for this transition talk came from that time period. It actually did. So using this time wisely to kind of just get familiar with yourself. I think a lot of times we have to have alone time with ourselves for brilliance to come out of us. And,
absolutely.
You got so many ideas that you may not have the time and energy to pour into them. And I can see by the things you're doing, it's a high level of expectation. One, two, you're serious about your goals.
Absolutely.
But, you're adjusting as well. So, just stay encouraged, because, we could literally talk 2 hours about just the things that
for real.
we discussed. I was like, I didn't know he did all of that. I didn't know about that movie project you were talking about, the music situation. So, I mean, you are doing what's necessary to be successful on multiple levels, which leads me to the book. Because, see, I don't tell people this, but I want to write a book as well. Like, there's certain things I want to do, but I want to do them in a certain order.
Right, gotcha.
So some people write a book and then do a movie, and I'm just like, why would I write a book and nobody really is interested in my story yet? I say, let me do a movie, see, people get interested from that standpoint.
The audience.
And then, work on that target demographic, and then write a book. to maybe get some of that traffic to actually be interested in that particular project. So
Right.
I'm interested in that book writing process. So that is still on Amazon for sale for
Yes,
purchase.
yes, absolutely. That is still on Amazon, on sale now. The book was a little different, you know
Yes.
what I mean? It was a little different process. You know, when I finally left the music business, like a lot of people don't know, like I rocked with New South from like 1920 to 27. I came to Columbus. So I came to Columbus and I went to World Harvest Bible College, Pastor Rod Parsley School. I don't know if y'all know anything about Pastor Rod Parsley. He's one of the, well-known preachers, throughout the nation and whatnot. I went to his Bible college, and that really changed my life. You know what I mean? That for me was the changing point where I discovered myself spiritually. I really got in contact, for lack of a better term, in contact with Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And really understood the power of prayer. Then I began to understand that things happen spiritually first and manifest itself into the earth. I felt like at that point I realized I was doing a lot of reacting rather than controlling. You know what I mean? I was reacting to things that was happening. Like me signing to the record label was a reaction of the hurt and the mistrust that I had for my basketball coach and how he was handling my basketball career. And at that point, I was just like, F it, I'm gonna get this money, because I was reacting to it. And then, things started to happen in my life around 2007. You know what I mean? Just a lot was going on. What I mean? The whole lot I could speak on. I mean, it was a lot.
And I get it. From a standpoint of the music industry, I think a lot of people, and it's important to have that point to where you recognize that it's larger than yourself.
Right.
And when you realize that, you start to look at the world differently. A lot of people, when you're young, you want a sense of belonging. You want to be heard. And those are things that drive you, that individuality. But it excludes the presence of a higher being, community, in some cases. And once you realize that, born naked and broke, and you're going to die naked and alone, unless you put something with that makes that experience more powerful, more meaningful, more purposeful. For me, that's God, because once you realize those moments that it could have went left, you could have died, you could have been in a situation that you couldn't recover from, you start to look back and say, man, I don't even know how I made it through that. And then you start to tap on your shoulder. Hey, the whole time now, you got to have some growth now. So you went to the Bible college. Did somebody talk to you about possibly doing that?
That's crazy. The whole thing is like, I never even knew what a Bible college was, man. Come on, man. I'm from Polk County. You know what I mean? Ran the streets. I had absolutely no idea what a Bible college was. That whole situation happened crazy. Like, I'm in the music industry. I'm doing everything that goes with the music industry, mansion parties. You know how it is, like everything you want. You know what I mean? So I'm doing it big, you know what I mean? Like doing it big. And I started meeting, some of your childhood, heroes, if you will, in the music game. And I'm realizing y'all is broke. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? That really won your money in the video? Like, you know what I mean? That wasn't your chain?
They over here, Rent-A-Center with the whip. Oh.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bro, wait a minute, why you put that back in the box?
Taking the phone. Oh my God.
Right, and then, it was just a lot that I was coming, that I was coming into as a man. Like the Bible says, when you become a man, you put away childish things. Like, it was nothing for me to go in a jewelry store and drop 4 or 5 stacks on a chain. But really, I should have been taking those same 4 or 5 stacks and investing it, you know what I mean, and doing other things with it, getting appreciating assets instead of, things that depreciate in value. So I didn't understand those things then. You you know what you know, and back then being a young cat, I didn't understand those things. So, I took a lot of the cash that I had, and I decided to come to Ohio. A guy that I call my Uncle James was out here. Big shout out to Uncle James. He's even though me and him beef a lot, I love him. He's a big reason also, that I graduated high school and that I was able to restart my life. So even though we beefing right now, and if I see you on the streets, you know what it is now. I love you though.
You know what's funny about what you're saying is the people who love you the most or you love the most hurt you the most, because those are the ones who are the closest to you.
Exactly. Nobody else could get that close to you. You know what I mean? So I'm sure, he feels like some things that I did, was hurtful to him because we're so close. But it wasn't never intended to be hurtful. You know what I mean? And vice versa. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I came out here and then, didn't really know what to do with myself out here. You know what I mean? Like, what in the world am I doing out here? And I met this guy who was a Catholic priest that was telling me about Bible college. And then back then, I was still so rough around the edges, they didn't want to let me into Bible college. I actually got declined to Bible college.
You can cash in when you got the money, but they say, no, that money don't work here. You can't bribe your way to Bible
you know
college.
what I mean? For real. So I actually got turned down 3 times from getting into Bible college.
They must have been looking at your history and say, is that what he's talking about on these records?
You know.
You might not be able to save him.
Gotta understand, when I first came to Ohio, I'm fresh out the streets, so I still got that whole dope boy, on me bad,
But what the sad thing about that is, we live in a culture where we want to limit what people are able to do based upon our preconceived notions of the condition of their heart. They didn't have the opportunity to know what you had been through, going from one place to one place, resting your head. You were in a position where you were doing well to even be alive, much less have a decent amount of money to your credit. And then that judgment comes, but you didn't give up. Let's pick up there, because you didn't give up 3 times.
I did give up actually. What ended up happening was Jesse Kuros. Big shout out to Jesse Kuros. He had went to Bible college with the dude that had showed up kind of like me, because like at that time, in order to get into Bible college, you had to be sent by a church. Your pastor had to sign off of. Like, you had all of these politics. Yeah, you had all these politics. Like, you couldn't just walk in, and I had none of that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You had favor
on the
on
music business. You know what I mean? I'm still spitting fresh, big face hundreds. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, nah, man, you know, bro, we don't. Yeah, you're not.
You're not for us right now.
Right.
Yeah, you don't fit the image of the brand of the college.
Right. And Jesse Kuros actually went and fought for me to get into Bible college. And that's how I got into Bible college. He actually brought my situation to Pastor Parsley. And then come to find out, after talking to Pastor Parsley, he didn't fit the description to the Bible college he went to. They didn't want to let him in either. And he let me into Bible college, and the total experience, not only did Pastor Parsley let me into Bible college, he paid for my first semester of Bible college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he paid for my first semester of Bible college. Yeah, paid for my first semester of Bible college. That experience in and of itself changed my life. We're talking about, this is Pastor Parsley, so Benny Hinn and all the big name preachers would come to our chapels, and it was huge, man. It really began to. One of my friends was like, bro, you was like DMX and Belly.
You know what? I can kind of see where that was coming from based upon.
Yeah, I made that total flip. You know what I mean? I went from, wilding out, like my whole music persona was, I'm fly, got money, I can't be stopped, you can't touch me, I'm gonna do whatever, what? And it went from that to, we got to think strategically, and you do things in excellence, and we got to really take care of our mind, our spirit, and our body.
I mean, but it's hope for people who don't think people can change. And I think what people confuse a lot of the times is if I don't know better, it's hard for me to do better.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
some people do things because that's all they know. It's not
Right.
that I want to be running the streets doing, like, if that's what you're around and that's what you see as a way out, you just using that as a way out because you don't see another
Right.
way out. You haven't been introduced to another way out.
Right.
And everybody changes. Not everybody changes for the better, but
Yeah.
luckily
Absolutely.
in this situation, you know, the one thing I have to kind of explore a little bit is through all of these changes,
Hmm.
you never really tolerated a defeated mindset, it seems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nah, because even though you go through a lot of changes, but the core of who you are is what doesn't change. Like my mom put in me at a young age that, you don't quit, you don't back down. You know what I mean? No surrender, no defeat. You know what I mean? You're going to have to work 10 times as hard as these white people on the job in order for you to do the same job, but don't let that stop you. The life ain't never going to be fair, but I still expect you to succeed. So a lot of that comes from what my mom placed in me, you know what I mean, at a young age. So I really grew up feeling like even though I come from the bottom, I can make it to the top and ain't nothing y'all can do about it. Whether you want me here or not, you're going to have to bite your tongue and watch me get it because I'm not stopping. I'm coming. I'm not intimidated. I don't get scared. Like I'm coming with veracity. And even though today it means something different to me than what it meant back then,
Right.
you know what I mean? Today it means in business, you know what I mean? In the business society that I'm coming. So even if you don't like my skin tone, even if you don't like, the big black guy's presence, I'm going to be here. You're not going to intimidate me from coming. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Might as well get
Yeah.
used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wanted to touch on the book and then the balancing of all of these things that you do and how do you balance that with the business world? Because a lot of times in society, one of my pet peeves is people try to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if you could only do one thing.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
aggravates me because there's no one thing that anybody can only do that one thing, you
Right.
know.
So what
Uh,
I say is, rather than asking a kid, what do you want to be, ask them, who do you want to be? Because see, once I learned that it wasn't so much as of what I wanted to be, it was who I wanted to be, and who I am is a great communicator. So when you put that under the broad umbrella, when I was in the music business, I was a communicator. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? I was communicating my story and the story of the Black people to the masses of the Black people that it touched. You know what I mean? And that was my group. You know what I mean? Now with the book, I'm still communicating. I'm
Yeah,
communicating God's word to you on how you can apply his principles and use it in a setting to, be successful in business, to be successful in your spiritual life, to be to be successful relationally. You know what I mean? This interview with you and I'm still communicating. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I'm dropping jewels on my life and how I got to where I am. You know what I mean? On my job, I'm communicating. You know what I mean? I'm an HR professional, so I'm communicating. So who I am is a great communicator. What I have done with that is make albums, is make books, you know what I mean? Is be a motivational speaker, is to do these kind of interviews in hopes that somebody will hear the words that I say and take some of the principles that I drop, apply it to their life and see their life change for the better.
absolutely, absolutely. And it sounds like because you write, obviously, you have to read a lot too to kind of be well versed.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely,
what
absolutely. I
what are a
read
couple
a
of
lot.
books that you really drew inspiration from in terms
I
of
can get a couple of
developing
them.
your mindset? I know that's a tough question.
No, it's not. It's not at all. No.
I guess you
I
were ready
read
for
all
that.
the time, bro. I read all the time. I could do this all day. Say,
Okay,
I'm real with mine. I read all the time. The Motivation Manifesto. Get that. It's a
right.
great book. For real,
Okay.
for real. Oh, I could do this all day, bro, because I'm real with it. You feel me?
Yeah, it's important, man. Be well studied.
Hey.
You can't
I
do it.
mean, I'm just picking up books right here on my counter. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah,
Right.
The Prince, Machiavelli. Yeah, get that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We know about that one.
Yeah. And then here's the one that I'm currently reading right now, because I'm always reading something. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Extreme Ownership. Yeah, get that.
I
Get
hadn't
that.
heard of that one. I hadn't heard of that one.
I'm
Okay.
telling you.
Ownership.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to get up on that one. I'm gonna have to get on my Amazon
absolutely.
game.
Absolutely. I've always been a reader. Like, man, me reading books goes all the way back to elementary school. I remember reading Judy Blume and Fudge and, Charlotte's Web and
Right.
all of that. You know what I mean? So I've always been a reader. And the thing is, I read books. I don't like self-help books. The books I read are books that like I read a lot of Robert Greene. You know what I mean? So the books that I read are books that have precepts and concepts that you can apply to your life and see change. Not I mean, I read 7 Habits of, Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It was a good book, but it really didn't have any concepts that I could apply to my life that would change. I mean, it made you feel good. It was motivational or whatever, but it had no real true concepts like Extreme Ownership. It has a concept in there: prioritize and conquer. You know what I mean? So basically, it's whatever your goals are, prioritize the one in the heart and prioritize them in a hierarchy. Like, this is what I need to take care of now. I could put this one over here. And then you complete those goals, you conquer those goals, you know what I mean? You go after them. So those are concepts that I can think about and that I can apply, you know what I mean, to my life. I can apply it to different, to relationships on different ends, whether it be a romantic relationship, a friendship, a business relationship, whatever. I can pick, you know what I mean, and use those strategies wherever, you know what I mean, and see the return on it. So I like reading books like that. You know what I mean? Books that are going to help me grow. Like Curtis Jackson's book, The 50th Law. Loved it. Loved the book. You know what I mean? So,
he's a deep guy. People don't really know how he has that just nothing is going to stop me mindset no matter what. I remember when he did that movie because he was starting to meet Hollywood people, and it went to the I forgot the name of the film. It went to the theater, had a bunch of big names, but it flopped where he lost a bunch of weight. And he said, you know
what
what?
was the name of that joint?
Yeah. I mean, and it was just like, wow, like he was so dedicated to that role, but then he made the adjustment because it wasn't successful enough in his mind. Then he comes up with Power and then makes the Stars deal. And then it's like, okay, I can flip the game up and I can come at you a different way. And we already know how successful Power was. Yeah. So he took that quote unquote learning experience. Some people might call it a loss. Really, it's just a learning experience. And he took what he learned and then changed the game.
And that's what I mean. And that's the thing about success, man, is that you can't be afraid to fail. You know what I mean? Like you can't be afraid to fail. You're going to fail. But one thing, and also too, I listen to a lot of motivational speeches. Les Brown, if you don't know who that is, you know, research Les Brown. He's a good one. But Will Smith said something one day that really changed everything for me, because I was one of those people like, I hate to fail everything I did. I was planning around not failing. And Will Smith said, fail forward. And I understood that concept. Like when you falling forward means I learned from that fail something that I wouldn't have learned in success, and now I can never fail in that. Not only can I never fail in that spot again, I can never fail in that arena again. You know what I mean? But you can't be afraid of failure, or you'll never try. Right. You know what I mean? There's some things I've done that I failed at, you know what I mean, but I've learned from it. So, you know, I've kind of adopted that mindset that I never fail, either I win or I learn. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because the failure is a learning experience. You know, it teaches me what I can do better next time. You know what I mean? To get there, and what I can do better the next time, and continue to improve.
You talking my language, man. I don't even know if you can see the background, but it says in the background, forward fighter.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just because you have to, personally, for me, I have to surround, like this room is just dedicated to creation and having the type of mindset. And there's a bookshelf with all these different books and things that will actually kind of enrich me, like the books that you're pulling off. So, you know, these are the habits and being able to surround yourself with people who think forward thinking like you, because
Right.
there's not a lot of people. I hate to say it this way, but
It's
there's not
not.
a lot. The majority of the population is not going to inspire you to be better. So you
Right.
have to go through a lot of
Yeah.
sifting and putting
Yeah.
people to the side and protecting your
Yeah.
energy. And
Yeah.
between that and studying, you sometimes feel alone. But having the opportunity
Right.
to speak to people like you, it helps me. And I think it'll help anybody who is watching this on Facebook. Please share. Sharing is caring, man. I'll be honest with you, for people who support sharing is free. I had my homeboy Theo Lodge on the show, and he's an international hip hop artist. And he's like, sharing is free. Like, I don't need
Right.
you to spend money to support me. If you share my
Yeah.
message with other people, that's going to help
Absolutely.
me. So I hope people share what you're saying here, because I'm getting so many jewels, and it just reaffirms what my mindset is already, and it's like I get to add a couple of things. Oh, let me check that book out. So
Right.
great stuff. I wanted to ask one more question, because, like I said, I know we could go for a minute. And it is good content. It's good content. One
Absolutely.
thing that I wanted to touch on, and it's a little bit controversial for some,
Sure.
because this new environment that we're in with, and I'll speak on a couple of different things.
Mhm.
The whole Black Lives Matter,
Right.
cancel culture, how do we
Mhm.
communicate with one another and have these race relation talks
Right.
with respect and grow and evolve? That's kind of
Right.
what I'm trying to embody here in a
Absolutely.
business setting. So I kind of wanted to, tap into your
Mhm.
brain. How do we move forward as a society for people to understand where Blacks are not all thinking the same way,
Mhm.
but also make people realize that there are things that need to change, whether they need to change because you experienced them or not.
Right.
We still need to be able to come together and have dialogue and still be respectful, because we're at a crossroads. I feel like we're at a crossroads with.
Absolutely. And I'll say, I'm from Polk County, so
Right.
you don't get too much soft than that. And the first time I ever had a gun pulled on me was from a cop. You know what I mean? At 16, you know what I'm saying?
Tell us
Climb
about
out
that
through your car
experience.
window. Yeah, driving while black, driving down the road, you know, all of a sudden surrounded by like 4, 5 cars, you know what I mean? All of them, surround the car. I pull over, they got the guns out, climb out through your car window, lay down face first on the ground, you know what I mean? You're trying to figure out what's going on. All of a sudden, you got all these guns in your face, and they like, shut up, don't ask no questions. You trying to, you know what I mean? It's like I watch these videos, and everybody was like, well, why did they do this and why did they do that? Can you imagine minding your business, not doing nothing wrong, and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by 4 or 5 squad cars with guns pointed in your face for no reason?
Was there a
Yeah.
reason? Did they pull you over? How did they?
Yeah, I got the whole story. So, you know what I mean? Of course, driving while black, the whole thing is you fit the description. They put me in handcuffs, put me in the back of the car, you know what I mean? Finally, they let me go. Talking about you fit the description, black male. Come to find out, you know what I mean? The dude they was looking for looked nothing like me, you know what I mean? At that time, I was like 6'2". This dude was like 5'10",
Was this late at night or something, or was it during?
No, it was in broad day. It had to be like 4, 5 o'clock, man. For real, I was on Havendale Boulevard. This one particular time I'm talking about, I'll never forget it, on Havendale Boulevard over there by that big church. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, coming down that way, and they pulled me over, climb out through the window. But that wouldn't be the last time. One time coming back from Atlanta with John Boyd. I don't know if you remember John Boyd
Oh yeah.
and Lamont. Yeah, we had the top down on his car. He had just moved back again. You know what I mean? Lay down on the ground, climb out your car window. You know what I mean? And they didn't know his father's a firefighter. My mom was a parole probation officer. We coming back from Atlanta. You know what I mean? And yeah, they put us in cuffs. And of course, our parents was livid because it wasn't the first time. So I feel and I understand the anger. You know what I mean? Because I have been through that myself. You know what I mean? And it's a horrific experience. You know what I mean? You can say what you want to, but after going through that, you do develop a kind of distrust for law enforcement. And, you know, I've been an advocate of peace, you know what I mean, and things like that. But I will say this, man, at what point, like, I don't know if you saw the video with them choking out the black lady at her car with her hands behind the back, the cop slams her on the face, gets on top of her and puts her in a rear naked choke, puts it in deep, like he's about to break her neck. And I'm like, at what point are we able to defend our women? At what point does it go from a felonious assault on a police officer, somebody was to kick him in the head and pull him off of her, to self-defense and protecting the life of a black woman? You know what I mean? At that point, like, at what point does it transition from, you know what I mean, us just begging for you to please stop, to knocking somebody in the head and then saying, okay, this is self-defense at this point?
You're saying something that's very interesting, and I wanted to touch on 2 points to piggyback that. I saw Queen and Slim recently, and I hadn't seen it, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody else, but basically it's a situation that happens in the beginning. It's not a spoil. There's a situation where people get pulled over, they're on a date, and the officer goes a little bit further than one of the people was thinking they should have, and it got out of hand. I think oftentimes we have to be aware of not following what everyone else is doing. For example, sharing that video of George Floyd, I think, does a disservice to anybody, human nature, human people, because it's programming people to feel you become desensitized to killing. When you see like these little kids, so they see the little, it used to be violent movies or stuff like that. But that was make believe. But some of these people still, you go out, shoot, bang, 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 bang. Well, visual images are very powerful. The images that are being shared, they're not usually the ones where black people are fighting back, which I think is very interesting. The ones where people are being killed or choked, those are the ones that are being put into the news. These are the ones that are being put, and it's like it makes a person either frustrated, upset, or it can also be wielded as a sign of power, meaning that if you go out of line or if you question what's going on, this is what could happen to you. That's being suggested visually. And I think that we have to be careful not to show those dehumanizing images and share them just because they come across our face or page to others, because it's despicable. It's disgusting. You watch it once, you talk about ways to possibly address things that are, like, okay, let's talk about it, sign a petition. But we can't fall into the trap of being a gossip girl or a gossip guy and then just spreading the internet with that type of negativity. And who does it help? It doesn't help anybody to spread that image. The message behind that is lost, I think, because I never watched the whole video, but every time, I had to be honest, every time I see, a movie that's made about slavery and they keep re-releasing them like every 4 or 5 years, like, I'm over that. Why do they keep releasing these movies? I think it's not just educating the generation, it's reminding somebody, it's like peeling the scab off of a wound, and they keep doing it.
So I feel you. I got a couple of things to say with that. First, I'll start off with, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I have not watched the George Floyd video. I just can't bring myself to watch it, man. It's so sad and that kind of thing. So I get that aspect from you. But I do have to disagree with you, man, because I do feel like they do need to show it, because that's the only way we're getting somewhat of some kind of justice. That's the only way people are getting enraged. Like the Bible says, be angry and sin not. So yes, you're supposed to be angry when you see something like that. You know what I mean? Not angry to go and try to get revenge, but angry to get some actionable items in place to make a change. So we do need to see it. They do need to continue to put it out. We do need to continue to record it on our cell phones, but obviously that is not enough. The only reason why the guy in Ahmaud's case was arrested is not that we got the footage, right? Because they had the same footage we had for 3 months and they made no arrest, but it was that the people saw it and the people was enraged. And, you know, they had to be like, dang, y'all really had this for 3 months. How can you watch this and have this for 3 months and not, you know, bring charges against these people? So, you know, in that aspect, I disagree, because that's the only way you're going to get any kind of justice is to put it out. The only reason why they finally arrested those 4 officers in Minneapolis is not because we had the footage. It's not because everybody saw it, but because people got mad and took it to the streets and protested and said, we will shut down America if this continues to happen. And I would say, I always said they did too much when they let George Zimmerman get away with Trayvon Martin. I always said that. And now I feel like the George Floyd, this movement is not necessarily 100% about George Floyd. It was his death that tipped the scale.
Yeah,
and now
catalyst for change.
It's not going back. It's got to change. Yeah. It's got to change. You know what I mean? It's not going back to the way it was. Everybody wants things to go back to normal. But what does normal look like for Black people?
Well, at this point, I don't know what
go back to normal
like for anybody at this point, because
we can't go back to
COVID and that, things are
normal,
changing so rapidly.
Normal for them is comfort. Normal for us is we continue to get beat. We continue to die on the street. So no, we cannot go back to normal. You see what I'm saying? Normal for them is cool. Please, guys, let's go back to normal. No, because our normal is us die. Our normal is 3 people dying within weeks of each other during a pandemic where there's a disease out killing people. You got the one, okay, sports shut down because of the pandemic. Hospitals shut down because of the pandemic. Food shortage because of the pandemic. But we had no shortage of police brutality during the pandemic and people dying and getting killed or getting beat up and getting their head bashed in. Now, we're not talking about criminals. We're talking about the one dude sleep at home, eating. No, he's sitting on his couch watching TV, eating ice cream in his drawers. White lady busts in, shoot him and kill him. Oops, I thought I was in my own home. They did not bring her on charges until everybody saw that and they started protesting in Dallas. That's why I say they need to put those videos out there, as grotesque as they are. But it's in that grotesqueness that people see the reality of it. It's a shame I got to show you somebody getting shot in the head and I got to show you their last dying moments in order for you to feel some kind of empathy to make a change. It's a shame that we got to do that, but it's because of their barbaric mind frames. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And for me, when I say, obviously it has to be shared to a degree. I like to mix the medicine with the message, like with music. Exactly. Like I like it to, like something to balance that out, because I think showing it with no direction leads to people protesting,
actionable items.
Yeah. I mean, and the version of a protest now is a little bit different than like when the 60s, because I think some people are confused. Marches used to be a little bit more organized because they put them out and say, okay, this Saturday, this is happening. But when you put that video out without direction, you're going to have people go a lot of different directions.
I did say that. Yeah. I did say that because I've been out there on the front lines in the protests, and that is the one thing that they are missing, is that we don't have that Black leader that's giving direction. Why don't we have them? Because they killed them.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They killed them, or they put them in prison and they died in prison. Martin Luther King, dead and gone. Malcolm X, dead and gone. Black Panthers, dead and gone. You know what I mean? Who we got? Who we got out there? You know what I mean?
I don't have any names of that prolificness.
Right. I mean, we got Obama, but he's chained up by the political bureaucracy that they're going through right now. Like, he has all these political chains on him. He's starting to try to break them himself to lead us, but he can only do so much because he don't want to seem like he's in rival with the current president. You know what I mean? But You know what I mean? He is that leader that we have right now. That's why he could no longer remain silent, and he had to come out and speak against it and kind of lead the people, because he saw from his vantage point that the people he led for 8 years are now starting to go astray. So like a good shepherd with the sheep, he had to come out and give us some sort of direction. But yeah, I go out to the protest, and that is the one thing that we're missing. At the end of the protest, we're missing that person who could stand up and say, this is where we're going. This is the reason for the protest. This is exactly what we want out of the protest. This is the time frame that we want to see it. You know what I mean? But we don't have that. So that is one of the questions that I ask with goes back to strategic thinking. What is it that we want from the protest? Yes, we want equality, and we want this and we want that, but what does that look like for us? What laws need to change? How do we achieve it? How do we get there? You know what I mean? And we don't have a person in power that could teach us that. Like, we don't know the Constitution like that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like who has a Constitution law degree other than Obama? You know?
There are some changes that are taking place. Like, you know, it's crazy. Like some areas are doing there's an anti-lynching law now, to where lynching is now become. And you think, well, didn't that already exist? It actually didn't. So there is hope. I think that as long as we kind of work together and look for people like yourself.
Here's my thing. Here's why I say you have to think strategically. Mm-hmm. How does the anti-lynching law help us when police are shooting us and killing us? They're not stringing us up and putting us on the tree. That's a thing of the past.
Right.
So yeah, they'll give us that, but they're not going to police the police.
Well, I know the Minnesota Police Department, they're discussing dismantling that particular department there. So it's almost like some of these things are experiments, and they do have to be tweaked, and they do have to be adjusted. You know, I'd have to look at it from a standpoint of, I'm not one of those people who's going to go back to Africa.
Even though at all. Yeah, I don't even know where to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm an American, and yes, my ancestors helped build the country, and we're going to have to work on how we're going to figure this out in my lifetime, because I'm not going to go somewhere else just because there's problems that exist, because there's problems that exist everywhere.
Everywhere, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Might be a different problem. But
matter of fact, if you don't like it, go back to Europe.
No, I don't see that one happening. Everybody want to come.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I said that, because it's as ludicrous as telling us to go back to Africa. So we have to have some action items to be able to work it out. And what I've seen out in the protests, actually, there are more white people out there than black people.
That's a beautiful thing. Shout out to the white people who are taking a stand, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. People don't
there's a lot of them out there. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know what I mean? I definitely appreciate all the support and everything that, you know, our white community is giving us at this time. So, you know, it's not a black or white thing. It's a everybody versus racism thing. You know what I mean? And for the people who don't understand that it was never about a flag, that it was never about an anthem, those are the racists who don't want to understand. They're going to, because that's their distraction and their takeaway from what's really happening. You know what I mean? And they don't want to see that it was never about a flag. You know what I mean? They don't want to see that it was never about an anthem. The good-hearted white people who once really thought it was about a flag, and they see what's happening now, they're saying, you know what? I see now that it was never about a flag. I'm so sorry. We didn't listen to Cap. We listening now. We got your back. Those are the ones. See, it's all about repentance. I'm all about a change of heart and what you believed in, what you believe in. You come from a military family. If you come from a military family, then that means you also have cops in your family, because ex-military people do what? Become cops. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
And I have a military family, which means I have a lot of cops in my family. So, you know what I'm saying? When you have that, then a person disrespecting the flag and disrespecting what your uncle lost his leg for, or what your baby cousin died for, it means a lot to you, to your heart. But when you begin to understand Kaepernick's story, in that, number one, he was told to protest by a Marine vet to just silently take a knee during the anthem, you know what I mean? Because that will get everybody's attention and say, you know, how the national anthem say, you know, justice for all or whatever. Until there is actually justice for all, then you kneel. That's where he got it from, a person in the military. You know what I mean? And that's when he began to implement it. So people who don't see that now are the ones who continue to voluntarily have a blind eye to it. And I just feel like the only way to reach them, man, for real, if we take it back to spiritually and pray that God changes their heart, because we can't change it. Absolutely. You know what I mean? There's no speech, there's no word of wisdom that's going to change that. Only God can change that.
Well, I think that's a good point to end, because at the end of the day, the country needs prayer. Everyone needs prayer to grow and change your heart to where you can kind of understand the complexity of what's going on and what success looks like in the different quarters of the year and our life. So I think we've had a great conversation. And I'll just be checking in with you every now and again, because I want to do some things later on too, because teamwork makes the dream work, and these types of conversations on a larger scale can have a larger impact for good. And I think that's something that definitely needs to be attained.
Definitely. That's what's up, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
go to
man,
Amazon.
It's been great, man. It's been great, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And y'all check that book out. It's on Amazon. Called, Chosen, and Faithful. That's on Amazon. Tell the people what they can expect from you this year coming up before we sign out.
Hopefully this year, you know what I mean, we'll be able to get the movie Mulatto rolling. Big ups to Tim Durham, all my people out there in Philly. We'll be able to get that rolling. Also, be on the lookout for Mafia Ties. You know what I mean? It's a very, very good show. If y'all like Sopranos, this is almost like the Black Sopranos, man. It's a very, very good show. Big ups to John Wilson, Ashore Films, all of that. Yeah, man, that's pretty much what I got going on this year. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Much love.
Absolutely. Definitely, man. Love you, man. It was too long, but we had a lot to discuss.